My name is Maya Sinclair, and I'm 28 years old. You were always our greatest disappointment. My mother said it while sliding a pen across the table so I could sign away my inheritance in front of 14 relatives. That was 3 years ago. I walked out of my parents' house that afternoon with nothing. No money, no family, no safety net. My sister Caroline took everything. The $4.2 million estate, the lake house, the investment accounts. My father didn't even look at me when I left. What none of them knew, not my mother, not my father, not my perfect sister, was what a single phone call between two lawyers would uncover 3 years later. And when my father finally heard the number, he said the same two words over and over like a man who just watched his whole world tilt sideways. That's impossible. Let me take you back to a Sunday afternoon in April, the day my family sat me down and erased me. The phone call comes on a Thursday evening. I'm sitting cross-legged on the floor of my studio apartment in Providence, surrounded by fabric swatches and mood boards for a client's dining room redesign. My first real solo project. $850. I'm proud of it. My mother's name lights up the screen. Family meeting this Sunday, don't be late. No explanation, no warmth, just instructions. I almost don't go. Something in her tone feels off. Sharper than usual, more rehearsed, but it's family. And despite everything, I still show up when they call. That's always been my problem. Sunday morning, I drive 2.5 hours from Providence to Greenwich. The April rain hasn't let up in days. The windshield wipers beat a rhythm I can't shake. When I turn onto Birchwood Drive, the house rises through the gray. Stone exterior. Black iron gates. The kind of home that looks like it was built to make you feel small. I grew up here. It never felt like mine. Inside, 14 people are already seated around the dining room table. Grandmother Eleanor sits nearest the window, hands folded in her lap. Uncle Michael is beside her, jaw tight. Aunt Susan, 3 cousins, everyone dressed like they're attending something formal. At the head of the table sits Mr. Harrison, my parents' estate attorney, silver-haired, reading glasses on a chain, a thick leather folder open in front of him. My father, William, stands behind his chair, arms crossed. He doesn't greet me. My mother, Christine, gestures to an empty seat at the far end, the only one left. And there, at my father's right hand, sits Caroline, my older sister, pressed blazer, pearl earrings. She doesn't look at me either. But her posture says everything. She already knows what's coming. On the table in front of my empty chair, I see a single document. My name is printed at the top. I can't read the rest before my father clears his throat. Sit down, Maya, this won't take long. I sit, the chair is cold. My father doesn't waste time. He nods at Mr. Harrison, who opens the leather folder and begins reading in that flat legal tone that strips everything of emotion. The estate, all of it, is being transferred to Caroline Elizabeth Sinclair, the house on Birchwood Drive. The lake house in the Berkshires, the investment accounts, the trust fund established by my grandfather. Total estimated value, $4.2 million. Every penny, every wall, every memory that was supposed to be shared. Caroline's name appears on every line. Mine appears on none. I look at my father. And me. He doesn't answer. He adjusts his cufflink and stares at a point just past my shoulder. My mother fills the silence. She's been waiting for it. You were always our greatest disappointment. She says it the way someone reads a weather report. Calm, final. We're not going to pretend anymore. The room doesn't move. Grandmother Eleanor looks down at her hands. Uncle Michael shifts in his seat but says nothing. Aunt Susan studies the table. My cousins avoid my eyes like I've already stopped existing. Caroline sits perfectly still. She doesn't speak, but I catch it. The smallest tug at the corner of her mouth. Not quite a smile, close enough. Mr. Harrison clears his throat. He slides the document closer to me, a relinquishment of inheritance rights. Pre-drafted, tabs already marking where to sign. We'll need your signature to finalize. I look at the pen, I look at my mother. Her chin is lifted. She's daring me to make a scene. I pick up the pen. My hand is steady. That surprises even me. I heard you, Mom. I sign. I stand before the ink is dry. Nobody stops me. Nobody says, wait. Nobody says, are you okay? The room exhales as I push back from the table, not with relief, but with the collective understanding that the uncomfortable part is over for them. I walk through the hallway toward the front door. My footsteps echo on the hardwood. To my left, the gallery wall. I've passed it 1,000 times, 3 framed photographs, Caroline's law school graduation, her accepting the dean's award, her standing between mom and dad on a terrace in Florence. Silver frames, perfectly spaced. There are no photographs of me. I open the front door. The rain hasn't stopped. My phone buzzes before I reach my car, a text from Caroline. No hard feelings, right? It's just business. I stare at it for 10 seconds, then I delete it. The drive back to Providence takes 2.5 hours. I make it 20 minutes before I pull over. I park on the shoulder of I-95, turn off the engine, and sit there. Cars blur past. The rain hammers the roof. I don't cry, I don't scream, I just sit with it. The weight of being subtracted from your own family like a line item on a spreadsheet. 45 minutes. Then I start the car again. When I get home, my apartment is exactly as I left it. Fabric swatches on the floor. The client's mood board pinned to the wall. A bowl of oatmeal on the counter from breakfast. I check my bank account. $2,847. No family, no connections, no one coming to help. I sit on the kitchen floor that night and make a list, not of what I lost, of what I still have. It's a short list, but it's mine. The first client cancels on a Wednesday. Hi Maya, we've decided to go in a different direction. Best of luck. No explanation. I send a polite reply and move on. These things happen. The second cancellation comes 5 days later. This one stings more. It was a full bedroom renovation. 4 weeks of planning. Measurements already taken. The homeowner calls instead of emailing. We heard you're going through some personal issues, she says carefully. We just think it's better to work with someone more stable right now. I ask who told her that. She hesitates. I'd rather not say. Something cold settles in my stomach. 2 cancellations in 1 week, both using language that sounds coached, both pulling away for reasons that have nothing to do with my work. I take on smaller jobs. A bathroom refresh for a rental unit, $750. A color consultation for a couple in East Providence, $200. I eat pasta for dinner 4 nights a week, not because I'm romantic about struggle, because pasta is $2.99 a box. Rock bottom isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's splitting a box of rice into 4 meals and calling it budgeting. In week 4, I try the only family lifeline I have left. Uncle Michael, my father's younger brother, he's always been gentler than Dad. He once told me my eye for space reminded him of grandmother Eleanor. Maya, I love you, he says on the phone. But don't pull me into the middle of this. He hangs up, and I understand there is no middle. There's the Sinclair family, and there's me, 2 separate countries now. That evening, an email arrives from an address I don't recognize. Someone requesting a design consultation for a townhouse in Boston. Budget significant, I almost delete it. It feels too good to be real. I don't delete it. The truth finds me in a coffee shop on Thayer Street. It's a Saturday morning, about 7 weeks after the meeting. I'm reviewing sketches for a kitchen remodel, the only project I have left when a woman approaches my table. Lauren Pierce, former client. I'd redesigned her home office the previous summer. Maya, I thought that was you. She sits down without asking. Her face is strange, half guilt, half curiosity. I have to ask you something. Are you still doing design work? Of course, why? She stirs her coffee slowly. Because your sister told me you weren't. The words land like a slap. Caroline called you. Not directly. She mentioned it at a networking event. Said you'd stepped back from the business, that you were going through a rough time. Lauren pauses. Looks at me like she's deciding how much to share. She also said you were let go from the family for reasons she couldn't get into. She made it sound serious, Maya, like it was legal. A couple of people at that event were in real estate. Word travels. I set down my pencil. My hands are shaking, not from sadness this time, from something harder. Did she say what the reasons were? No, that's what made it worse. She left it open. People filled in the blanks. I understand now. The cancellations, the sudden distance. Caroline didn't just take my inheritance. She was salting the earth behind me, quietly, socially, with plausible deniability. No fingerprints, just whispers at networking events. I want to call her. I want to scream. Instead, I thank Lauren, I finish my coffee. And I make a decision right there, sitting in that booth with my $6.25 latte and my ruined client list. I won't confront Caroline. I won't beg my parents. I'll rebuild somewhere she can't reach me. 4 months after the meeting, I break my own rule and call my mother. Not to beg. Not to cry, I need one answer. She picks up on the third ring. Maya. Not a question, not a greeting, just an acknowledgement that I still exist. Did you plan it, Mom? Silence, the meeting, the 14 people, Mr. Harrison, all of it. Was it planned? We did what was best for the family. For the family, or for Caroline. Caroline never gave us a reason to worry. I never gave you one either. Longer silence this time. I hear her breathing. I hear the kitchen faucet dripping. The one Dad's been meaning to fix for 6 years. Strange. The details you remember when your mother is deciding whether to be honest with you. Maya, her voice softens, but it's the softness of someone explaining something to a child. If you'd listened to us from the beginning, gone to law school, or at least gotten a real job, none of this would have happened. You chose this. There it is, the core of it. In Christine Sinclair's world, obedience equals love. I disobeyed, so I don't qualify. This is the last time I call this number. Don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic, Mom. I'm being clear. I hang up and I keep my word. No calls, no texts, no emails, not that month, not the month after. The silence between us becomes a wall. And every day I don't reach for the phone, it grows another inch higher. I'm not angry anymore. That's the part no one tells you about cutting ties. Eventually, the rage runs out, and what's left is just quiet. A terrible, steady quiet that sounds a lot like freedom. 5 months in, Caroline sends the first email. Subject line, thinking of you. The body is long, carefully written, dripping with concern. I want you to know I had no part in their decision. Mom and Dad acted on their own. I tried to talk them out of it, but you know how Dad is. I hope you're doing okay. I worry about you. I read it twice, not because it's convincing, because it isn't. Every sentence is constructed like a legal defense. No admissions, no specifics, no accountability. This email isn't for me, it's insurance. If things ever blow up, Caroline can point to it and say, see, I reached out, I was the caring sister. I don't respond. 2 weeks later, a second email. Shorter, more direct. I heard you're struggling financially. If you need help, I'm here. You don't have to do this alone. Just ask. Just ask. The 2 most loaded words in the English language when they come from someone who's standing on your neck. I read this one once, then I closed the laptop. But something makes me stop. A small instinct. The kind that lives in the back of your brain where survival decisions are made. I open the laptop again. I create a new folder in my inbox. I label it simply C***. I drag both emails into it. I don't know what I'll do with them. I don't even know if they matter. But my gut tells me to keep a record. Caroline is meticulous. She plans 3 moves ahead. If she's sending emails this polished, she's building a narrative, and I should be keeping one too. The Boston townhouse changes everything. The mystery email from week 4 turns out to belong to a woman named Helen Carmichael, 64 years old, self-made, owns commercial properties across Massachusetts and New York, sharp eyes, silver rings on 4 fingers. The kind of handshake that tells you she's been underestimated her whole life and has enjoyed proving people wrong every single time. We meet at the townhouse. Beacon Hill, 4 floors, overlooking the Charles River. The space is a disaster. Previous tenant gutted the kitchen and left. Walls stripped to brick, exposed beams. Most designers would see a problem. I see a cathedral. Helen watches me walk the rooms for 45 minutes. I don't pitch, I don't sell. I just move through the space, touching surfaces, measuring light angles with my hand, crouching to check sightlines. When I'm done, she's standing in the doorway with her arms crossed and the faintest smile. You see space differently than anyone I've met. The project takes 6 months. Budget $135,000. More money than I've ever been responsible for. I don't sleep much. I source materials from salvage yards and artisan workshops. Every choice is deliberate. Every corner tells a story. When it's finished, Helen walks through the completed townhouse and doesn't say a word for a long time. Then she turns to me. I have 4 colleagues who need someone exactly like you. Within 3 months, I have 5 active projects. Real ones, full residential redesigns with clients who found me through Helen's name. Over coffee one evening, Helen mentions boutique hospitality. If you ever want to invest your time, not money, I'd like to talk. I don't invest in people who need saving. I invest in people who just need a door. 9 months after the family meeting, I leave Rhode Island. Helen's boutique hotel project is in Charleston, South Carolina. A city built on cobblestones and history. It feels like the right place to stop running and start building. I pack my car, a 13-year-old Toyota. Everything I own fits in the trunk and back seat. In Charleston, I rent a 1-bedroom apartment above a bookstore. The floors creak. The AC is temperamental. It's perfect. I file the paperwork for an LLC, Evergreen Interiors, no Sinclair anywhere. A clean start needs a clean name. Helen invests $180,000 into Evergreen Interiors, not charity, a business agreement, with terms, margins, milestones. I work 15-hour days. The world I came from shrinks a little more each week, until it feels like something I watched in a movie once. Then one Wednesday morning, my phone buzzes with a name I haven't seen in years. Ethan Walsh, college friend, now a real estate attorney in Charlotte. He spotted Evergreen Interiors in a South Carolina business filing. Is this you, Maya Sinclair, running an interiors firm? Congrats, coffee sometime. For the first time in 9 months, I smile without thinking about it. I type back, name a place. Ethan Walsh looks exactly the way I remember, tall, slightly rumpled. We meet at a coffee shop in downtown Charlotte. We catch up. He's been practicing real estate law for 6 years. He asks about Evergreen Interiors. I tell him the basics. Then I tell him about the meeting. The signing, Christine's words. Ethan sets down his cup. Wait, your sister, Caroline Sinclair, from Greenwich, works at a firm in Stamford. That's her. Why? Her name came up in a transaction last week. She was CC'd on an email chain. Maya, in those emails, your sister was warning them about you. She said you were unreliable, that your family cut ties with you for serious financial concerns. She told them not to work with anyone connected to Maya Sinclair. The coffee tastes like ash. Ethan watches me carefully. Don't do anything yet. Let me look into it. But if this is what I think it is, your sister wasn't just favored. She was actively working against you. I nod. My hands are flat on the table, steady, but under the surface, something is shifting. 18 months after I left Connecticut, Evergreen Interiors finishes its 15th project. Annual revenue, $1.4 million. Helen and I make our first major acquisition, a condemned commercial building in downtown Charleston. Everyone calls it a money pit. We see something else. 7 months later, net profit after renovation, $385,000. I hire 4 employees, a project manager, an assistant designer, 2 junior designers. We work out of a converted warehouse space that smells like sawdust and fresh paint. I still drive the Toyota, still live above the bookstore. The money grows, but my life stays small. On purpose. Then one evening, over Thai food in Helen's kitchen, she says something that makes my chopsticks stop. There's a parcel of land in Stamford, Connecticut, adjacent to some residential estates in Fairfield County. She watches my face. I know what she's telling me. Stamford borders my parents' neighborhood. Send me the listing. 3 years after the day I sign those papers, I walk into the Connecticut Real Estate Association's annual charity gala. At the Hartford Marriott, I almost didn't come. When Helen mentioned it, 250 guests, black tie, every name in Connecticut real estate, my first instinct was to say no. I'm not ready to stand in a room full of people who might know my family, who might have heard Caroline's version of my story. But Helen doesn't let me hide. You're my business partner, Maya. You belong in that room. So here I am, black dress, Simple, no jewelry, hair straight and clean, I look like someone who doesn't need to prove anything. And for the first time, that's not a performance. The ballroom is gold-lit. Champagne on silver trays, string quartet in the corner, 250 people in dark suits and designer gowns, networking under crystal chandeliers. I see them before they see me. My father stands near the bar speaking with Mr. Harrison, the same attorney who slid that document toward me 3 years ago. My mother sits at a round table with Aunt Susan, her back straight, her pearls catching the light. And Caroline, she's across the room, mid-conversation with a group of men in expensive ties, laughing, gesturing, in her element. My chest tightens, 3 years of silence, and my body still reacts to them like a warning system. Helen places a hand on my arm. Breathe. I breathe. Then Christine turns her head. Our eyes meet across 70 feet of polished floor. Her champagne glass stops halfway to her lips. Caroline notices her mother's expression, follows her gaze, finds me. For one full second, nobody moves. Then Helen walks straight toward the Sinclair table, and I walk with her. Helen extends her hand to Mr. Harrison like they're old colleagues. They probably are. Gerald, good to see you. She turns smoothly, one arm gesturing toward me. Have you met my business partner, Maya Sinclair, the creative force behind Evergreen Interiors? She says it at full volume, not aggressive, not pointed. Just the natural tone of a woman introducing someone she's proud of. Half the surrounding tables hear it. William turns slowly. His face cycles through recognition, confusion, and something I can't name. He stares at me like I'm a ghost who walked in through the wrong door. Christine recovers first, she always does. Maya. Her smile appears like a light switch. Instant, practiced, camera ready. What a surprise, we've been so worried about you. She reaches for my hand, I let her take it. One squeeze, then I pull back. I appreciate that, Mom. I've been well. Caroline appears at the table's edge. She's watching me the way a chess player watches an unexpected move. We heard you were doing some decorating work. She tilts her head, a small, patronizing smile. That's sweet. The word asterisk, sweet asterisk lands exactly as she intends it. Dismissive. Minimizing, but Helen heard it. She turns to Caroline with the calm authority of a woman who has eaten people like this for breakfast for 40 years. Decorating? Evergreen Interiors manages an $8 million commercial portfolio. I'd hardly call that decorating. The table goes silent. A man seated beside Mr. Harrison lowers his scotch. 2 women behind us stop their conversation. Caroline's smile doesn't disappear. It freezes. A colleague of Caroline's, a real estate lawyer I don't recognize, leans over. Evergreen Interiors. She owns that. We just contracted them for our Hartford project. Caroline's face goes white. I stand perfectly still. I didn't come here to prove anything. I came because I was invited, and right now, that's enough. 1 week after the gala, the phone call happens. I'm not there for it, Ethan tells me afterwards, sitting across from me at his office in Charlotte, a legal pad covered in notes between us. Here's what happened. The Stamford property, the parcel Helen and I are purchasing, sits adjacent to the Sinclair family estate. Standard procedure requires a boundary survey and title verification. Ethan, as my attorney, reaches out to the attorney of record for the neighboring property. That attorney is Gerald Harrison. Ethan makes the call, professional, routine. He identifies the purchasing entity, Evergreen Interiors LLC, owner and principal, Maya Sinclair. Silence on the line, not a polite pause, a long, airless nothing. Maya Sinclair, Harrison's voice changes register. The same Maya Sinclair from the inheritance file. That's correct. Another silence. Ethan says he can hear Harrison shifting papers on his desk. I'll need to verify financials on the buyer side, for the boundary agreement, standard compliance. Of course, Ethan says. I'll send a summary. He pauses. Evergreen Interiors. Total portfolio valuation, including real property and business assets, approximately $10.3 million. Ethan tells me the silence lasted 17 seconds. 17 seconds. He knows because he counted. Then Harrison said very quietly, I'll need to contact my client. That was it. No commentary. No questions. Just the sound of a man recalibrating everything he thought he knew about a family he served for 22 years. Ethan sets down his pen and looks at me across the table. He didn't say a word for 17 seconds, Maya. That's a long time for a lawyer. I nod, my hands are in my lap, my pulse is steady. But somewhere deep inside my chest, behind the calm and the professionalism and the 3 years of silence, something exhales. Gerald Harrison calls William Sinclair that same afternoon. I learn the details later, through Ethan, through documents, through the version that eventually filters back to me whether I want it or not. But here's what happened in the study of the Birchwood Drive house. Behind a closed oak door, on an ordinary Wednesday, Harrison lays it out simply. A property transaction, adjacent parcel, buyer, Evergreen Interiors. Owned and operated by Maya Sinclair. Net valuation of combined assets, approximately $10.3 million. William says nothing for a long time. Then, that's impossible. Harrison repeats the number, confirms the documentation. Notes that no Sinclair family funds appear anywhere in the company's capital structure. She built that alone. According to every filing I've reviewed, yes. That's impossible, William says it again, softer this time, like the word is the only thing he can hold on to. Christine is in the room. She's been listening on speaker from the armchair by the window. Her face hasn't moved, but her hand grips the linen napkin on the side table so tightly her knuckles have gone white. In the living room, Caroline is on the phone with a colleague. Her voice carries through the wall. Tight, urgent. What do you know about Evergreen Interiors? The company in South Carolina, have you heard of it? William sets the phone down. He stares at the wall where 3 photographs of Caroline hang in silver frames. Then he looks at the bare space beside them, where a photograph of Maya has never been. I want to call her. Harrison's reply is gentle but firm. Through attorneys, William, she has counsel now. This goes through proper channels. William nods slowly, and in that nod, something breaks that won't go back together. His daughter has a lawyer, because of him. The emails surface that same week. And they change everything. Ethan is completing due diligence for the Stamford purchase. Title searches, lien checks, transaction history for the surrounding parcels. Routine, boring. The kind of paperwork that makes law school graduates question their life choices. But buried in a chain of correspondence between a regional brokerage and a property management firm, Ethan finds something that is not routine at all. An email from Caroline Sinclair, sent 16 months earlier. Addressed to a commercial broker named Paul Davidson. Subject line, heads up confidential. The content, Caroline expressing concern about a woman named Maya Sinclair who may approach firms in the Southeast market. She describes me as financially irresponsible. Claims I was removed from the family due to serious trust issues. Advises Davidson to exercise caution with anyone associated with that name. There are 4 more emails in the chain. Different recipients. Same language. Same careful, devastating phrasing. Caroline never says anything overtly false. She implies, she suggests. She lets the reader fill in the worst version of the story. It's elegant. It's calculated. And in the state of Connecticut, it's called tortious interference with business relations. Ethan sends me the chain. I read it once. Sitting at my desk in Charleston with the afternoon light coming through the window. I don't scream. I don't cry. I close the laptop and sit with it for a full hour. Then I open it again and call Ethan. Are these enough? More than enough. How long have you known? I found them 3 days ago. I wanted to verify before telling you. I nod even though he can't see me. Keep them safe, I say. I'll decide when I'm ready. I'm not going to use them out of anger. I'm going to use them if she doesn't stop. 3 days later, Ethan gets the call. Mr. Harrison, on behalf of William Sinclair. Formal tone, careful words. My client would like to arrange a meeting with Ms. Sinclair, a family conversation. Ethan asks me. I think about it for 1 full day. I sit with it the way I've learned to sit with every hard decision in the past 3 years, without rushing, without reacting, without letting the old version of me take the wheel. Then I tell Ethan, no. If my father has something to say, he can put it in writing. William writes. The letter arrives through Harrison's office. On personal stationery, not legal letterhead, his handwriting, Maya asterisk. I am incredibly proud of what you've accomplished. I had no idea. I would like to see you. We have a lot to discuss. Can we talk? I read it at my kitchen table. I read it again standing at the window. I read it a third time sitting on the floor, like I did the night everything fell apart. He's proud. Of course he is, because now there's a number attached to my name. $10.3 million of validation. But where was this letter when I was earning $850 per project? Where was this pride when I was eating pasta for dinner? When I couldn't keep a client because his other daughter was poisoning every well in a 4-state radius? I dictate my response to Ethan. He sends it through Harrison. Thank you, Dad, but I don't need pride that arrives 3 years late. I built my life without it. I'll continue without it. A week later, William sends a second letter. 2 words written in ink that smudged slightly, like his hand was shaking. I'm sorry. I read it, I fold it, I put it in a drawer, I don't reply. I don't sue Caroline. I want to be clear about that, not because I forgive her, not yet, but because a lawsuit turns my life into a courtroom exhibit, and I've spent 3 years taking it back. I'm not handing it over again. Instead, Ethan drafts a cease and desist letter. It is 6 pages long, precise, and devastating. It names 5 specific instances of defamatory communication. It attaches the email chain. It quotes the relevant Connecticut statute on tortious interference with business relations. And it ends with a single clear statement. If Caroline Sinclair continues to disseminate false or misleading information regarding Maya Sinclair or Evergreen Interiors LLC, legal proceedings will be initiated without further notice. Ethan sends it certified mail to Caroline's office at the law firm in Stamford. She receives it on a Friday morning. I know this because Ethan gets a read confirmation at 10:27 a.m. By 10:41 a.m., Caroline calls Christine. I learn the details later. Through the grapevine that Ethan has quietly maintained with contacts in the Connecticut legal community. Word travels in small professional circles, especially when a lawyer gets served a cease and desist at her own firm. She has the emails. Caroline's voice, I'm told, was flat, controlled, but fast, the way people speak when they're calculating damage. She has everything I sent. What emails? Christine asks. All of them. Everyone I sent to brokers, to property managers about Maya. A long pause. We'll handle it. Christine says this in the same tone she used 3 years ago at the dining room table. But it doesn't land the same way anymore. There's a crack in it now. That evening, Caroline calls my phone directly. First time in 3 years. I watch her name light up the screen. I decline the call, not because I'm afraid, because there's nothing left to say. The emails do what emails always do. They travel. I never leak them. I never post them. I never mention them to anyone outside of Ethan and Helen. But the cease and desist arrives at Caroline's firm during business hours. A legal secretary processes the delivery. A managing partner reviews the cover sheet as part of standard risk protocol. Within a week, 3 senior associates at Caroline's firm know that she used professional channels to defame her own sister. Within 2 weeks, the managing partner has a quiet conversation with Caroline behind a closed door. She isn't fired, but she's reassigned, moved from client-facing commercial transactions to internal compliance review, a windowless office, no client lunches, no networking events. In the Connecticut legal community, the story spreads the way all professional gossip does. Not with fireworks, but with raised eyebrows and carefully worded references. Difficult family situation, judgment issues, not someone you want representing your interests. Caroline's reputation doesn't collapse overnight. It erodes, slowly, permanently. I hear about it from Ethan, who hears about it from colleagues who hear about it from other colleagues. I don't celebrate. There's nothing to celebrate about watching someone dismantle their own career with emails they chose to send. Then one afternoon, a number I haven't seen in 3 years appears on my phone. Uncle Michael, Maya, his voice is heavier than I remember. I owe you an apology. For what? For that day, the meeting, I should have said something, I should have stood up. I close my eyes. Thank you, Uncle Michael, that means more now than you know. He asks if he can visit sometime. I tell him Charleston is beautiful in spring. When we hang up, I sit for a long time. The house on Birchwood Drive gets quieter. I hear fragments through Uncle Michael, who starts calling every other Sunday. He keeps it light, but sometimes details slip. William sits in his study for hours. Somewhere on his desk is a printout. A magazine article about evergreen interiors. My photograph in the corner. He's read it so many times the paper is soft at the creases. Christine holds the line in public, but Michael tells me that late at night, he's heard her through the bathroom door. Crying. The kind that sounds like it comes from a place she won't admit exists during daylight. William sends a third letter, handwritten, longer this time. I'm not asking you to come back. I know I don't have that right anymore. I just want you to know I was wrong. I see it now. I see you now. I know it's too late. I read it on my balcony, the sun setting over the harbor. I cry for the first time in 3 years, not from pain, from the ache of getting something you once needed desperately, long after you've learned to live without it. I fold the letter. Put it in the drawer with the other one. I don't reply. Helen tells me over dinner like it's nothing. I knew your father, 32 years ago, when I was starting my first company. William Sinclair was one of my earliest legal advisors. He was good at his job. But he measured everything in numbers. If it couldn't be quantified, it didn't exist for him. She pauses. He told me once that I lacked vision. That boutique real estate would never scale. I ended the retainer that week. A year later, my company was outperforming every projection he'd made. When you first contacted me, I didn't know who you were. I hired you because your portfolio was remarkable. I found out you were William's daughter later, and I decided I wasn't going to let history repeat itself. Not because I hate your father, but because I know what it feels like to be dismissed by someone who can't see past their own measuring stick. Helen didn't rescue me. She recognized me. Recognized the look in my eyes that she'd once seen in her own mirror 32 years ago. Being told she would never be enough. Thank you, I say. Don't thank me, just keep building. 7 months after the gala, the Stamford property closes. I don't build a house on it. I don't build anything for myself. Instead, I convert it into a shared creative workspace. Studios and meeting rooms for young designers, artists, and architects who are just starting out. People who need a door. The kind of space I wish had existed when I was sleeping on my kitchen floor with $2,847 to my name. I name it, the Evergreen Collective. Helen cuts the ribbon. The same week, Caroline sends her final email. I know I messed up. I know what I did was wrong. Can we talk, please? This time, I reply, it takes me an hour to write 4 sentences. Caroline, I forgive you. I mean that. But forgiveness doesn't mean I want you back in my life. I wish you well. I press send, and something loosens in my chest that I didn't know was still tight. 3 days later, my phone rings. Christine, I almost don't answer. But something tells me this conversation needs to happen, not for her, but for me, one last time. You proved your point, she says. Now come home. I stand at the window of my apartment. The harbor is blue and endless. The bookstore below is playing something soft on the radio. Mom, I didn't prove a point. I built a life. And this is my home now. Maya, I love you, but I can't go back to being someone you only value when the numbers are right. She's quiet, I hear her breathing, and I wonder if she's crying again, or if she's angry. Or if she's simply sitting in the silence of a house that's too big for 2 people who pushed away the wrong daughter. I hang up gently. Home isn't a house your parents own. It's the one you choose for yourself. So that's my story. I don't tell it so you'll hate my family. They're people. Flawed, stubborn, sometimes cruel, but people. My father was raised to believe success looked one way, and he couldn't see it when it showed up wearing a different outfit. My mother believed love meant control, and when she lost control, she lost the language for love. My sister was terrified that if I succeeded, her entire identity would collapse, because it was built on being better than me. They were wrong, all of them, but they weren't strangers. They were my family. And that's what made it hurt the way it did. Here's what I learned. And I'm sharing it not as advice, but as something I carry with me. You don't need permission from the people who gave up on you to start over. You just need one door. Sometimes you have to build that door yourself. Sometimes someone like Helen holds it open for you. Either way, the door is yours. Setting boundaries with family isn't abandonment. It's not cruelty. It's the decision to stop bleeding for people who won't hand you a bandage. Today, Evergreen Interiors has 16 employees. Our portfolio is north of $11 million. Helen is still my partner. Ethan is still my lawyer. And every morning, I wake up in a house I bought myself, in a city I chose. Living a life I built from a kitchen floor and a list of what I still had. William still writes letters. I still read them. I haven't replied. Maybe someday I will. Maybe I won't. That's my choice now. And if you're out there right now, sitting in the aftermath of being told you're not enough by the people who were supposed to believe in you, hear me. The best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's building a life so full that their opinion no longer fits anywhere inside it. That's where I'll leave it. If you made it this far, thank you. It means more than you know. Now I want to hear your story. Have you ever had to walk away from family to save yourself? Or are you still deciding? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Before you go, drop your city and the time where you are right now. I'd love to know where you're listening from. And if you want more stories like this, check the description. There's another one waiting for you right there. I'll see you in the next one.